I know every day I'm like in shock that I'm live. But okay, we're
Hello, hello,
live.
hello.
Yay!
Woo, woo, woo. Yes, so today we've switched it up a little bit. Welcome to Too Ambitious. The lovely Grace Gong is here joining me live in our virtual studios. Let me tell you all, I'm super excited to have Grace on our show today. Show her some love in the comments. Let her know we're excited to see her beautiful face. We are going to have a great conversation today on Too Ambitious. But before we get into it, let me just share with you why Grace is so amazing.
Oh my
She
God.
is,
I'm
I'm right.
blushing.
She is the CEO founder of Smart Venture Media. She's also a LinkedIn top voice and a best-selling author. Yes, all of that. She's also the founder and host of the Smart Venture podcast, where she interviews the founders of the world's top tech companies. So yes, she's absolutely brilliant. And I do want to acknowledge the fact that you do also have a daily show that's called Venture with Grace, and it's usually on now, but you're here with me, so thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And you were just awesome. I would say you're like literally killing it when you're our LinkedIn manager. And I feel like you're just like amazing person in general. And yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Grace.
And then
And
you have great fashion style. If anyone needs fashion advice, please come to Trish. She have the best fashion tips and
well,
advice.
thank you. I mean, yes, I mean, I love fashion and beauty, as most people know, but yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to be here. This is going to be a quick conversation, but the fact that we are going to talk about you and what makes you so great and what inspire you to be you, I'm excited. So, let's jump into it because I know time is of the essence. So let's jump into it. So you're the founder of Venture Media, Grace. Tell me, when did this love for entrepreneurship develop? Like, what inspired you? You know?
Oh yeah, totally. I think I always like I know it sounds like every other entrepreneur, but like I kind of always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So like when I was
Mm.
younger in my high school, I started like an English newspaper because everyone's like studying abroad and I started an English newspaper so we could like talk about like our extracurricular activities and then send it to like the American colleges. So basically that was like the beginning and like our little newspaper sold out like immediately because all the parents are like, oh my God, my kid is on newspaper. And
I
then they
love
just like keep buying it. And then like we even had like I believe we had like advertising space or something for that. So like I've been like a media founder since like 1,000 years ago, I feel like.
Oh my God.
Um so that's like when it all kind of started. And fast forward to when I started like the Smart Venture podcast during the pandemic. Before that, like when I came to the US, I was an international student. I had no
Mm.
business connection whatsoever. Like,
Mhm.
just like I don't know many people that are like in the business world. And
Right.
when I arrived at Silicon Valley, I saw that there's so many like, my friends could just walk onto their like school campus or like work campus to meet like literally the tier one tech
Wow.
executives. And I
Yeah.
just really wanted to create that experience for like people around the world who are like stuck somewhere and like don't really know someone.
Right.
And I just like to learn from these like leaders about like how do they actually plan out their career, how do they be successful, and just in general, like what
Yeah.
does life look like
Yeah.
when you like made it, quote unquote. So that's why I kind of like started interviewing these like big tech executives and like
Mhm.
unicorn founders and like investors on like how do they make it in the business world. So
Yeah.
fast forward to today, we are one of the top VC podcasts, and then we're top 1.5% monthly million podcasts globally. We
Wow.
had featured C-level VP of like most of like the major tech companies and like some most Fortune 500 companies in general as well. So I'm
Yeah.
just like super excited to be here. And overall, I just feel like it's really interesting to like just like hear from my audience and like interact with
Mm.
them. So I started like the daily live show so I can actually
Yes.
interact with the audience. Also, hi Dan, thank you so much for the support. I want to say that
Hey,
because
Dan.
yeah,
I love it. I love it. I know the show Venture with Grace is daily and it comes on every day at 9 a.m. Pacific,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Today it's gonna be 10.
It's going to be 10 because you're
Yeah,
here and you
because I'm
can't be
here
in,
with Trish. Yeah.
right. And you can't be in two places at one time. So, there's that. But thank you for that. So, when you talk about your podcast, what I find interesting is that you're talking to some really extraordinary people who have built, businesses that some of us have probably heard about. What's your biggest lesson that you've learned from some of these business leaders that you've spoken to?
I think it's you can never be too ambitious because I think a lot of these people's goal are like absolutely insane, but they all
Yeah.
accomplish it. So I feel like you have to think that you can do it. You have to
Mhm.
believe in yourself. Like I know it sounds so like cheesy and cringe, but like it's
Yes.
actually true.
No,
Like
I
you
do.
have to convince yourself first that like you can do it. Like there's no goals that are like too high to accomplish.
Right.
And you have to be, like, to a degree delusional to
Absolutely.
think something can happen for you,
Yeah.
and I feel like some of the craziest, like, stories I've heard are all, like, people that did, like, something that they imagine, someone would do, and then they just, like, did it. So, like and I'll give an example. This is not necessarily, like, I guess Hi, Damien. Uh Thank you. So I guess, like I so basically, I'll give an example. This is not necessarily about, like, accomplishing a goal story, but it's more about, like, a crazy executive lesson that I've learned on my
Yes.
show. So one day, like, I had the former, co-CEO of Chipotle on my show, and then he said he, talked to, like, over 20,000 employees in Chipotle, like, who works on the ground, and then
Mhm.
also, like, he would um, essentially, like, being undercover, um, to, like, work at Chipotle stores to, like, go through the management training program, and
Okay.
I thought that was, like, just crazy. I'm like, "Okay, no way, like, no one's actually gonna do it." Like, most people just feel like, "Oh, yeah, like, I'm gonna do that," but, like, never do, but, like, when he said that, I was like, "Wow," like, those are things that I feel like it's just, like, if you want to be a great leader, you really have to be, like, on the ground to actually understand how um, your company actually is being run. So those are
Absolutely.
some like great lessons that I've learned. And also like in general, like a lot of people like I think like I just asked like a lot of these like executives, like, did they had ambition that they know they're gonna accomplish this?
Mhm.
And a lot of people just like actually know. They just feel like, when I didn't know I was in this exact position, but like I know that
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like at this level. So I feel like manifesting and actually like believing in yourself, like being
Absolutely.
delusionally believing in yourself, it's like very important.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as they say, you gotta be Delulu.
Yeah,
So
exactly, Lulu.
you have to be, especially when you're talking about, accomplishing some of the biggest goals, something that hasn't been done before,
Mhm,
there's no path there for
mhm.
you. So you have to create it. And I think that, is a testament to the work that you're doing as well, because you saw this need for more people to learn more about, business and venture capital, and you're just doing it. You even wrote like two best-selling books, The Last Key to Your Success and your second book, How to Be a VC. Why was it important for you to write these books, and what type of feedback have you been getting from people, about your books?
Yeah, totally. I think the general like, why I've been doing it is because of, like again, like I mentioned about the podcast, is like, I came from a place that I don't have these knowledge, and, like, I don't really know who have these knowledge, and I have to, like, really figure it out for myself,
Yeah.
and being in Silicon Valley, like, I feel like being here has, like, an unfair advantage where, I have, like, created little network for myself that are, like, great
Mhm.
entrepreneurs and investors. I just wanna share it with, like, the rest of the universe. So
Mhm.
sometimes, like, when we meet someone in, like, the, social contacts, you may not really know, like, what the person does, like, in their career, and
Right.
I feel like sitting down with them, like, actually learning about, like, what my friends or, like, people in my network are actually working on. It's, like, extremely interesting as
Yeah.
they're very accomplished themselves.
Right.
And I wanted to share that with, like, the universe because you don't really know. I wanna inspire the next generation of, like, the tech leaders of the world, like,
Love
probably
it.
like a next generation Elon Musk or something will be, like,
I love
reading
it.
this book, that kinda thing. So, like, I just wanted to, like, inspire other people who are outside of, like, the Silicon Valley ecosystem to actually,
Oh,
learn more.
Yeah,
But nowadays, like we have a lot of Silicon Valley audience too, as like a lot of people are actually just really passionate about technology and like
absolutely.
entrepreneurship in general. Um, I guess like the feedback, in terms of feedback, I think people like that, like, we're not like a 0 to 1 book. So it's like it's not about like the big idea. It's a lot of it.
Right,
It's like people like the tactical stuff, like, what can I do with the information that you shared with me. Like,
right.
so because of like the book is like very tactical,
Okay.
with like people's story and stuff, like, so people feel like a little bit more relatable than like some of the general like big ideas kind of book. So
Right.
yeah. Um
Yeah. I mean, I think also too, the uniqueness of Silicon Valley is that, people are very accessible, like and unassuming, right?
yeah.
You could be looking at, someone who's probably worth, I don't know, 20 million or $30 billion or something like that. You would never know.
Mhm.
But because, you're met like at a networking event and you're just having a conversation.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
for sure.
well, it's pretty cool to see. But where can we find your books, Grace? It's all on Amazon, right?
Yeah, it's all on Amazon.
It's all on Amazon. The Last Key to Your Success and also How to Be a VC you can find on Amazon, if you want to learn more about the VC world. So, Grace, you're building this empire, Smart Venture Media. At least that's what it seems like to me. You're building an empire. Can you share a little bit about, what it's like behind the scenes? Like, how are you making it all work? Because you have your hands in a lot of different things in a good way. So how are you doing it?
I think I think it's just really a lot of grind. I feel like I
Yeah.
wish I had like a really fancier answer, but like honestly, I
Right.
just wake up and I'll go to work and then like, before I sleep, I'm still working. So like I feel like I constantly like have like basically like in the middle of the night I wake up and then think about like, okay, what I supposed to do with my business. So I think like on the outside, like people always be like, oh, this is such a fun job, like being a creator full time. That's like, wow, my dream, blah blah blah. Like actually I feel like I work a lot more than like my regular
Yeah.
job in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked really hard in the past like regular job, but like when you start your own business, if you are not moving, like nothing is getting done kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So it's like you have to constantly be moving. And then in like working at on your own like quote unquote startup or like a smaller company, it's always like challenging because like you don't really know when to stop working because you never really stop.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Boundaries.
boundary.
Boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You're like,
am aware of like, I'm like very like at this point, it's like even the family dinner conversation is about like what what am I supposed to do with that certain thing. So I feel like it's a lot of grind. So I wouldn't glamorize it. Yeah.
yeah, and I appreciate you saying that, because yeah, I think entrepreneurship at times is glamorized, and it's actually really, really hard. It's not easy. Let me ask you this: do you do it all yourself?
I have some team member that are like more on the part-time side that they're helping with a specific task. For example, like some of the video editing or something are done by our team, and
Nice.
although like I still like literally like do a round of editing myself at least like so, but like some of the design are like done by our team and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I love that. What's your intention for Smart Venture Media? Like, what are you thinking? What is your ultimate goal? You know?
I think I just really want to like support like and inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs and like younger investors as well because as a like women of color like we typically don't like really see like people like us in like the spotlight sometimes and like especially in the finance and tech world, and I really want to establish like a figure that's someone who has like pursued something that's like um have achieved a certain level of success. And so like the younger version of myself or like yourself,
Mhm.
people like us could be like looking at it. And then also like just overall, like not just like about like the woman of color
Mhm.
aspect, but it's more of like generally like entrepreneurs across the globe, like who wants to accomplish something and then they may not really having the access to like certain people or like
Mhm.
they have like a knowledge gap in somewhere, I really hope that my content and like things I put out in the universe could be able to like inspire other people to like pursue a certain career. And
Mhm.
my mission was to help 1 million people make better business decisions. We
Yeah.
have like achieved over a million
Oh my
impressions.
God, congratulations. That's
So
great.
like, so basically I was thinking maybe I just make the goal more too ambitious,
I mean, you can never be
to
too
like,
ambitious.
yeah,
What's the goal now, Grace? Is it 10,000,000?
it's 1 billion. So I want
1,000,000,000, that's
to
amazing.
I
That's
mean, I feel
amazing.
like, yeah, I just really want to like at least like achieve like 1 billion people have like seen our content somewhere ideally.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think 1,000,000,000 is absolutely doable for you.
It's gonna be many, many years, but we'll get there.
I have faith in you, Grace. I have faith in you.
Thank you.
So, when we talk about, when you're trying to get to that goal of 1,000,000,000, it's building a community, right?
Mhm.
And I know that's something that's important to you as well. How are you cultivating your community right now? Are you doing it through events or newsletters, or how are you doing that?
I think honestly, like in terms of community, when I think about it, I think about it's everywhere. Like it's like the any point of touch with like your content, with yourself, like no matter if you're at an event or like if someone's sending you a cold email or like if someone saw your social media somewhere or like saw your post somewhere or like saw you speak at somewhere, like I think any touch point it's like something that's like really you can like consider them like a part of your community to kind of like anytime you engage with someone, that's like when I consider like a community because
Mhm.
sometimes like people just have time to like do like one comment. Um
Sure.
oh, hi Dan. Oh yeah, the short microphone. It's like the definition of like if you made it or not. But anyway, so like basically I feel like essentially like it's really about like how you interact with people on a day-to-day basis. And it's not
Mhm.
necessarily like I think a lot of people think like community means like you have like a chat group that like you have to like constantly like chat with people in your
Right,
community. But like
right.
sometimes like people just like need like one touch point to like make them feel better or like empower them to do something. Like I don't want to like overlook these like small moments in people's life that like you can
Yeah.
actually um like touch people and like actually make them feel better. Also, I really want to give you a shout out on like because I feel like you're
Mm.
just like the community manager who are like doing such an incredible job that like when there's like difficulties in like or challenges using the platform, like you're always like the first like your first minutes like you're like responding to my email like immediately, and I just like really really appreciate that. Also, shout out to my creative manager Jessica. She's also amazing.
Hey, yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Grace. You're really, really kind. And yes, shout out to Jessica if she's out there listening. Just such a wonderful person and an excellent community manager. Grace.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You
we
too. You are like also like my favorite people on the LinkedIn side.
thank you. Thank you. It's truly an honor. So, I also too want to say, Grace, is that you are also a mom. So in addition to running this super successful business, you are a mother. And I want to know, like, what is your thought process right now as you think about as you're building this business for your child? Like, is this something that eventually you'd want them to take over? Or, how has motherhood fueled this drive for you to keep going?
Totally. I think like I definitely had a really unique perspective after I had my son. So he's like 10 months old now. And so basically I think like the major learning is um like in the past I always stopped myself. I was questioning like, am I like really qualified to do this thing? Like, am I supposed to be like the person? Like there's so many people that are overqualified than me, blah blah blah. And then I thought like what if like what would be the advice I give to my son? Like it's never gonna be like, no, it's not you. Like
Right.
it's always gonna be like, why not you? So I
Yes.
just like really wanted to have that like mental shift like 1,000 years ago, I read like a Mindy Kaling book. It's literally called "Why Not Me,"
Yeah.
and like she was like the like first like female creator in the Southeast Asian community that's like actually having a whole Netflix Hulu show like based off
Yes.
her idea and like her as like the leading character in it. Like that's in like a traditional rom com, and like she was like the a writer on The Office, and like I was like so inspired by her because I feel like you really have to be the first person, even if you have never seen the first person,
Right.
who look like you, who sounds like you. And like I really feel like after like giving birth to my son, I'm like, you know, if like this is like what you want for him, you should want
Mhm.
this for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And also too, yeah, representation matters. You have to see it before you can, even believe that it's possible, So I think what you're creating, so many young, Asian women can see you and say, hey, this is possible to build, this empire and to keep it going and be successful at it because you're killing it, Grace.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, so love that. When you talk about a book that like Mindy Kaling's book, what are the books that have inspired you on this journey?
Yeah, totally. Honestly, I wanna give a shout out to, like, a really, really weird niche book. Not weird,
Mm,
but, like, it's never weird, it's not a weird book, but, like,
right.
it's a really, like you will never think of the book as, like, a traditional entrepreneurial book, I guess. So, there was, like, 1,000 years ago at, like, my school when I was in undergrad, like, there's a lady named okay, so I shouldn't, like, say her book is weird. Oh, her book is
No, no, you're
not weird.
fine. You're
It's like
fine. Like no
yes,
one
I
thinks
have
it's
to
weird.
say yeah. So I think her name is Lauren Berger. So she was talking about,
Okay.
like, intern queen. She's also, like, a queen, I feel like. She like, basically, what she did was, like, she was at, like, Florida State University or something, and then she, like,
Okay. Florida State. Yeah.
like, 15 internships somewhere.
Whoa.
And then, like, it's including, like, CAA or, like, People Magazine or something, like,
Okay.
it's, like, all the top, like, as a communication major, like, I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
"Wow, like, I need these jobs." I was reading her book, when I was in college to, like, try to get a job at CAA, and I
I
would, like,
love
flew
it.
to LA, like, just, like, during, like, a spring break or something, and then, like, I would, like, literally knock on the door of, like, these, like, Universal Studio companies or something, like, I was, like, inspired by her book. Maybe I shouldn't go that crazy to actually flew there because the
No.
book I don't really remember what the book's suggestion was, but I just feel like she was, like, a true hustler and, like, a lot of things in her book has, like, really inspired me to, like, really just, like, go out creating a path for myself kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
wanna give a shout out to her book. I think she's awesome. Like, I haven't really, like, been following a lot of her journey since, like, I'm not an
Okay.
intern anymore. So
Okay. Yeah.
I
What's the name? What's the
a
actual
long
name
time
of
ago.
the book? Do you remember?
I think it's just, like, Intern Queen or something. I
Oh,
have no clue what's the book's name. That's, like
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I need to probably Google it. Like, and then she was also really kind as, like I emailed her about equestrian, and then she hopped on a call with me at
Yeah.
one point for, like,
No
a very
way.
short amount of time. I'm like, how should I do with XYZ? And, like, can you, like, help me with this?" And then she hopped on a call with me. It was, like, 1,000 years ago too.
No
I
way.
don't have, like, really clear memory. It was, like, I guess 10 years ago. Like, that gives out my age, but
Yeah.
yeah. It's an intern era, right? Like, it's,
Yeah,
like, a
yeah, you're
long
fine.
time ago. I don't remember anything, but that's
Yeah.
just, like, what I vaguely remember. I feel like she's, like, a really, underrated, like, book author. Like, I feel like not underrated, like, okay, I shouldn't say like, I think, like, she's great, and I just, like, don't really think like, because in Silicon Valley, people are like, "Shootout is my favorite book. Zero to One is my favorite book." Like,
Right,
like, Sapiens or, like, whatever. Like, so it's not necessarily gonna be, like, a random book that's, like, about
right.
internship. So I just really wanna give
This
it
is
a
what it
shout.
is, Grace. It's all work, no pay, finding an internship, building your resume, making connections, and
Oh,
gaining job
yo.
experience by Lauren Berger. It was from 2012, everyone, 2012.
Oh my
But but that's great though. It's totally fine. Lauren is not listening, but Lauren, if you are though, shout out. But she's
Lord,
not
shout
listening.
out.
But this is a great book. But I mean, I think even if building your resume, making connections, all of that stuff still applies. So
Exactly. It's a book that's just about, like, she, like, went to a conference or, like, career fair somewhere, and then she picked up, like, a card on, like, the ground, and that's, like, someone's, like and then she sent her resume to that person or something. I was like, "Wow, like, I need that level of, like, persistence and, like, hustle."
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, absolutely. And I started my career in entertainment in LA too. And yeah, you have to be persistent, resilient, all the things in order to get what you want. My first job was at Paramount Studios, and that
Yeah,
was like
you
that was
also
a
have
hustle.
my dream jobs.
Yeah.
You have like all these like amazing media brands too. Yeah, how did you get your first job?
My first job, I knocked on doors and I hustled. Like I was relentless, I would say. I called people, I showed up to the office, and that was when you could show
Mhm,
up,
mhm.
because whatever.
Now
But
I
like,
feel like I shouldn't show up anymore.
yeah, now
I
don't
show
show
up
up.
at somewhere.
Don't just show up. But,
Yeah.
I would just show up and I would basically hit them up like daily, whether it was emailing, calling until they was like, "Fine, come in. You get an opportunity." But I was a PA, a production assistant at Paramount Studios, and yeah, just sheer relentless. I just would not stop. That also, and I didn't have any money. So, that's a motivating factor.
Shout out to that because I feel like that's very important. Like
Very.
very important. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
the motivation piece is like very real.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Grace, what do you enjoy most about entrepreneurship?
I think it's just about like the randomness. Like it's like literally everything you have to like do everything. You have to play every role. Like it's kind of like
Yes.
you wrote, played, produced your own movie kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's like you have to write the freaking script before
Yes.
you know what to
Yes.
do with it. Like
Yeah.
so it's like talk about Paramount Studio, talk about like the production of like any media stuff. It's like literally, you have to write like, you have to direct your own, like, life movie kinda thing, so I
Oh,
feel like
I love that.
it's, like, literally, like, you are in charge of, like, everything, you are responsible for everything, and you can't blame anyone else because you're, like, the founder of this thing, so
Right. It's all you, which some people may think is too much, but you also use it to drive you, right? You know? Well, thank you so much for your time, Grace. We're already at the end, but I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with you. Any final words that you'd like to share with our illustrious audience before you go to do your own show?
oh god. Uh, Follow Trish, first of all, if you're not follow Trish, what are you doing? And I feel like it's just like thank you so much for like giving me the opportunity to be on the other side of the table and like
Yeah.
I'm so excited for like to see more of your like Too Ambitious episodes coming out. And it's such an important series because like we need to like really highlight the people that are in like the community that are doing amazing things and like inspire other people in the community as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, to end the show, like, I would love to, like, hear from you on, like, what's your experience on, like, hosting Too Ambitious?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for that, Grace. That's so kind. Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm like, I feel like I'm a
I
just
mean,
like,
oh,
I've
so
been
now you're
working really
interviewing
hard.
me?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, exactly.
fine. Yeah, my experience so far being the host of this show has been very humbling. I get a chance to talk to some of the world's most incredible women that no one knows about for the most part, right? And just to hear their stories is I'm grateful for that, because I get a front row seat to listening to what these women have to say, how they grow their business, how they think, what they're doing. And that keeps me going, right? Because you don't realize it doesn't feel like I'm alone. We're all in this together. We're all doing our little part to put some light back out into the world while supporting our families and making our dreams come true. So women like you are inspiring to me, and just the opportunity to talk to you and to have access to all of your knowledge, I'm absolutely grateful, and I love it. I love it. I also have a degree in broadcast journalism, so I just be talking about, yeah.
Yeah, oh my god. You should also, like we need to, like, reverse it, like, you should do an Too Ambitious episode about yourself. Talk about the Paramount
Hmm.
Studio days.
Okay. All right. I mean, yeah, I'm down to do that.
Like, you have great
I have to
logos.
get, huh?
You have great logos on your, resume.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you, Grace.
It's
Look at
very
you.
hard to get that, though.
Well, thank you. Now, see, look at you. You're turning around all this love right back on me. I see you, Grace, and I appreciate you. So thank you. Well, I know you have to do your own show. Thanks again, Grace. Thank you for your time. And, I'm sure I will see you, either virtually or out in the venture capital streets,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll totally see each other soon, and then I'm gonna share with you an event today. But
Yes,
anyway,
please.
yeah.
Please do.
Okay.
Please do. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining this episode of Too Ambitious. If you would love to be a sponsor of the show, message me. If you'd love to be a guest on the show, message me. All right. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week and talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.